you think that it's the kind of faster you actually get back out there and meet someone, the better?
I'm not sure about that. I think that first you have to forget the old relationship you've got before. If you just finally quit the person you were with, then 1 week later you have a new relationship, I guess it's too early. You have to take time to be single a bit, to have fun, and then you can move on.
No, I don't agree with this. I think that probably the best way is to just take some time and kind of work on yourself, and then when you're ready you can find a new love. But jumping into a relationship straight after an old one is probably a bit messy. Yeah, I think just take time and kind of work on yourself and then find one when it's ready.
So apparently it's not a gender thing.
It's not a gender thing because the guy just...
He contradicts all the other guys.
Yeah.
And it seems like the lady watches our shows, isn't it?
Yeah, the last one especially.
She said it very well.
She even used the word messy.
Messy.
It's messy.
Mm-hmm. And I think she pretty much sums up everything that we're trying to say here. It can't work. It can't work. How can you... I think we can even link to what I was saying in the previous segment. Someone who's got lots of issues, trying to go into another relationship, still with issues from the previous one or issues from the past, or maybe that person is not well within himself, but thinks that, okay, all I need is a new partner, a new person next to me. So who knows, I can heal my wounds and can get rid of the past. That person will help me forget what happened. And I mean, people in the streets said that, most of them. 2 guys obviously got it wrong. Sometimes men, they don't.
They want to be practical.
Yeah, they want just to, but we know it doesn't work. Based on experience, once again, what we've seen and dealt with people firsthand, it doesn't work.
And it doesn't matter really how the last relationship was. If the last relationship was something very important to you, you really liked the person, and it left you hurt, devastated even, the solution is not to find somebody new right away, but heal from all that went wrong. If it's like, oh no, it was just a quick thing, it didn't really hurt me, but I'm just gonna move on to the next one. You should also evaluate that. Why are you getting into relationships when you know it's never gonna work? So you should give yourself some time.
Yeah, the time a person takes between relationships is the time to, make adjustments, learn, evaluate, think. How am I going to approach the next one? If that relationship ended due to betrayal or mistreatment, things like that, so I need some time to heal. I don't heal those wounds by finding somebody else, by getting to another relationship. That's not how it works. You need to seek help, right? You need to take time for yourself. Maybe you need to choose better. Perhaps the person you chose, perhaps the person you were with, you're not supposed to be with that person. Perhaps that person gave some signs in the beginning. Right at the beginning of the relationship, that person gave some signs, but you ignored those signs. And later on it escalated, got out of hand, and you ended up getting hurt. So what are you going to do for the next relationship? Are you going to do the same thing, ignore those signs? No, you can't. So wait a minute, I ignored those signs, now I need to be more attentive. If I see something that is not right, I have to immediately avoid that relationship, even if necessary, quit, but not put myself in that situation again. Yeah,
because it's a sure way for you to mess up your love life. When you didn't get over the one relationship, getting to another one, you're asking for it. This is how people get their love life messed up.
So, let's go back to Samuel's story. This is the final part of his story, which is pretty messy so far. Let's take a look.
In some girls that I was seeing at the time, I think 4 girls got pregnant and they had to abort it because there was no future. They met me drunk and, we were both drunk. But in the daytime, when we saw the reality of what we're into, we couldn't bring a child into the world. So after several abortions, that just started eating into my conscience, you know. I think
Would
the
that be
depression,
your lowest point?
lowest point, you know, even thinking of killing myself, you know.
How old are you?
I was about 25 at the time. And I remember the day that there was one that I was about to go and kill myself, because having made all these mistakes and all these, you know, bad choices, it was just eating me up. And I was heavily depressed at the time. The drink couldn't help it, the drugs couldn't help it, friends couldn't help it, even the women that was sleeping, you just couldn't help it. And I thought, go, kill yourself. Because a friend of mine from uni, you know, jumped off the suspension bridge in Bristol. So I thought, I'm gonna do that. You know, there's no way out, I'm gonna do it.
Did you get to go to the bridge?
I stopped at the door. A weird fear came over me. You know, I thank God for that fear, because it stopped me from doing something crazy. You know, I won't be here. And I literally froze. For a good 10 minutes, I was just there at the door, froze, and it's as though everything just came flooding back to me. What are you doing? What's your mom gonna say? What's your dad gonna say? What are your brothers and sisters gonna say? You know, and that made me take a step back, and I just broke down.
So, and your family back home thinking that everything was okay with you?
Exactly.
You're over here, studying, investing in your career. He's gonna come back as
Exactly.
an exceptional, you know, professional, and etc. Right?
And they had no idea. They had no idea. And it was as though I was out, I was out of control of my life. It's as though something else was controlling me. It's a weird feeling.
So, but how long did it last? Up to which age did you live, you know, that way, searching and you know?
Probably say from the ages of 13 to 29. 29 is when, you know, I took a serious decision to change, all because one of the girls that I was seeing at the time also became pregnant again. And this time she put her foot down, I'm gonna have this child.
How many women did you get pregnant?
5.
5
altogether, from what I know
None
of
of them
anyway.
planned?
None of them planned.
You were not married to none?
None of them.
None of them?
None of them, you know.
So did she have the child?
She had a child, you know, she was adamant she was gonna have a child, and I thank God for that, because that stance that she took made me think, you know, whether you like it or not, a child is coming into the world. You know, you buckle up your idea, change, or, you know, you have to change.
And all this time, did you never find someone that at least you hoped, okay, this is going to be the one, we can really have a future together?
There was one, and I was in a relation with her for 4 years, and we were close to even planning or even engaging. But she was also, she had issues with her dad. Her dad, she's from Poland, and I'm black, and her dad just wasn't gonna happen. So that was a stumbling block, you know, and not to mention my own bad behavior, because at that time, I think that was the peak point of my depression. You know, now the way I treated her, I don't even think I was even good enough for her, you know, because the way I was still cheating on her.
Why? Yeah, this is the part that you know, we hear men cheat, but you found somebody, although, okay, she had issues, you had issues, but you thought perhaps this could be it. What led you, in spite of that, you know, we could have a future together, what led you to cheat? Why did you? Because
that somehow contradicts, you are contradicting yourself.
Yeah.
You're looking for a solid relationship, someone to understand you, and yet you cheat on that person.
Because I was a mess inside. I just wasn't right. I was not in the right frame of mind. I was trying to get something, but I wasn't right myself. You know, sadness, depression.
When you were with this 4-year-old relationship with this girl, you cheated on her.
Yeah.
Many times?
Yeah.
Did she know?
Yeah.
And still she stayed with you?
Yes.
Yeah, both of you had issues. So, okay, she found out you cheated on her. How was it from then?
She broke up with me for a year or so, and she actually cheated with a next door neighbor just to rub my face, and that was really painful. I think it was her way of saying, no, this is how I feel. You know, you heard me, so I'm going to hear you back. And then eventually we kind of like, you know, she actually moving together.
Oh, you moved in together?
Moving together.
Right.
And trying to make it work, but eventually it just wasn't going to work, you know. And then we went our separate ways, and then I started carrying the way I was carrying. And now I met my mother of my son. It was casual as well, you know, and it's quite, when I look back, it's shocking, because the culture now is that you can have an open relationship, you know, and that's, even some relationship, I was honest with them. I'm not looking for anything serious, but, you know, let's just have fun. And that's how it was. We literally, you know, said that. She was seeing somebody else, I was seeing somebody else. And so once again, it wasn't planned. It was a casual thing. And my son coming into the world was unplanned. But like I said, the decision for her to have the child is what turned everything around for me. You know, I was trying to make something happen, but there was no groundwork. You know, I hadn't dealt with the issues within myself. You know, so I was trying to do it in my own strength, my own ways, and it just wasn't happening. You know, and I think it was all inside of me. I was the issue. I was the problem. It wasn't any of the women. I'm sure out of all of them, there was one that I could have been happy with, but I was the one. You know, and
so it didn't really matter how long you tried.
Mm-hmm.
How many times you tried, how different types of women, it would never work because of the way you were inside.
Yes, exactly. You know, exactly. And back then, I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to change myself. I didn't know how to deal with the issues. You know, how can I go back in time and fix all these events? Impossible. And how can I get over these emotions that were just overwhelming me?
Well, no wonder he turned out to be the man he became and do the things he did. If we look at his story since his childhood years, I mean, no role models, no one to look up to. Indeed, he was ill-prepared for any possible relationship in the future.
Yeah, but you see that even so, even having made all those mistakes, you know, getting all those women pregnant, there comes a time in life that you have to face up to the fact you have been ignoring. And he had to when that lady said, you know, I am going to have this child. So he realized either I'm going to grow up and be a man and take responsibility for my actions, or, you know, there is no solution here. I've been trying for so long. There's nothing else. So everybody has to come to that point. But unfortunately, in Samuel's story, it came quite late. He had to have a lot of disappointments, a lot of pain to get to that moment.
We're gonna conclude Samuel's story. Remember, this is a 3-part show, okay? And his story is not ended yet. So we would like to thank all those who have been with us throughout today's show. But remember, it's a 3-part show. We conclude today Samuel's story. We have a very nice story coming up next week.
From a lady this time.
Yes, and then we have Samuel back in the 3rd part of the show. Okay? Thank you everyone for watching us, and until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
And that's all for today's Love Talk show. Be sure to tune in next week to learn more on how to love intelligently.
This program is brought to you by UCKG.